Hi everybody, we are back, and this video is going to be kind of an end cap to the previous video that we did a few months ago, actually 3 months ago. If you want to refer back to it, it's called My Husband's Amazing Job, and we talk all about what he does for a living 3 months out of the year. And so that's kind of like the video that we did right before he left and was gone for 3 months, and now he's back. Here's Brant.
Hello.
And he's been back, what, a week and a half? And you've already cut down, what, 4 or 5 trees?
Well, 3. It was 3 trees.
3.
But I like 5. Let's say it was 5.
Well, it seemed very impressive to me. And we're sitting on one of them, and we have a lot of wood to split. So I would like for you to answer a few things.
Okay.
One of the main topics that I want to touch upon was, how did you deal with the separation for 3 months? I talked about it a little bit. I've made a video about being separated from your loved one, and I will say, coming from me, this trip went very slowly but very quickly at the same time.
Yeah, it seems to do that every time. While you're in it, it goes by very slow. When it's done, when I'm actually on the plane flying back and I look back on it, it seems to have gone by very fast. So time is weird that way. How I deal with it, it's kind of easier. I would think it's easier for me to deal with it, the separation, because I'm so busy all the time. I have very little free time to just sit and be lonely, or, you know, I miss you every day, and I think about you every day, and there are times when I'm seeing things or experiencing things and I wish I could share them with you. Because we can only talk on Fridays, I have to like compartmentalize that and save it until we can talk on the phone. But, you know, I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I go to bed at 9 or 10 at night, and besides sleeping, I'm working or around guests or around my crewmates. So I'm very, very busy. My time is occupied. So that, I would think that if I had time to myself, I would get a lot lonelier. On Fridays, when I talk to you, I get very excited, and then on Saturdays, which is the only day that we're in port and I have very little to do, that's when I start to get a little bit more lonely, because my time starts to slow down and I can think about it a lot more.
I would say the beginning of the separation starts off kind of quick, but I would say by the beginning of the second week, there's like this wave, a heavy wave that hits me that, oh my God, there's 10 more weeks of this.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I try to play
11, whatever, yeah.
We go out for 11 weeks, like we take guests out for 11 weeks, but the couple days before setting things up and a couple days after, it equates to me being gone for about 12 weeks, exactly. And I play little games with myself, like in the beginning, when I'm messaging you or talking to you, I say, all right, there's 1 week down, all right, there's 2 weeks down. It's not until the end where I go, oh, there's only 4 weeks to go, there's only 3 weeks to go. So I play these little minute number games. If I was like, at the end of the first week to go, well, only 10 more weeks to go,
yeah,
that sounds horrible.
Right.
But if I say, that's 1 week down, you know, for some reason in my mind, keeping that number very small kind of helps. After the 3rd or 4th week, when it's been about a month, it's when it really starts hitting how much time I've been gone and how much more time I still have to go. I have to purposely not think about that, because it gets, you know, it's depressing and sad, and so I just focus on my work. And again, I think having a schedule every day that forces me to do that definitely helps. Here's a good example. There were a couple of days this season where the weather was bad, so we were stuck on the mother boat out on the ocean, but we were still stuck. We couldn't go out on the smaller tenders, go whale watching, and so I could watch movies or I could read. That time went very slowly, and I would start getting bored and sad, and I'd read my book and be a lot more emotional about what was happening to the characters, because, you know, I was just more stagnant, where I think I would imagine the same thing happens to you. Like if you're here in the cabin with just you and Redbone, and you can't go outside and do any work, or it's gloomy and dark outside, and you just have to spend the whole day in the cabin,
yeah,
that can be more depressing, as opposed to if you're outside and busy and doing stuff with the garden and building and working on art projects and stuff. That probably makes the time go by faster.
Well, like I always say, it's just hard not being able to share those moments with you. So when you're gone,
right,
just the little mundane things that I would be like, hey, look at this, and you're not there, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, everything is different. Like watching a TV program or reading something where you would normally be able to turn and go, oh my God, this is funny or ridiculous or whatever. And you can't do that anymore. You have to just keep it to yourself.
Or we played this game where we save it up for the Friday or Saturday when we talk.
Yeah.
I was logging things down for a little bit, and then, I don't know, it just kind of got away from me. But I would collect them in my mind, and that's where journaling, I'm very not disciplined with journaling.
I'm not either at all.
I need to, maybe that should be part of our project together. We've started doing a book club, the two of us.
It's a married couples book club.
Yeah.
There's 2 members.
Yeah,
And we meet, well, we haven't met yet, but we will meet after we finish our first section.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk about that in another video. Redbone, you are ridiculous. I'm just gonna sit on my lap like this.
Yeah, I would say one thing to keep in mind, like, we're very fortunate that, one, when I am gone, it's because I'm doing something that I love, and I wouldn't, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be gone.
And it's important,
time.
it's important to us that you do this job.
And I'm very fortunate to be one of the few people on the planet that is able to do this. There are people out there that are gone way longer from their loved ones and spouses.
Yeah.
Military people coming to mind right away. I can't even fathom. I mean, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say, like, it's sad and it's hard being apart from you, but those families, you know, where they're gone for a year or more in dangerous situations, it's just, you have to be, I would think, you're in a totally different mentality, and so we're lucky in that sense. It's sad to be gone from you for that long, and I hate the time leading up to it, and I'm very excited when the time gets closer and closer to when I get home. But when it's all said and done, it's a pretty amazing thing to be able to do.
So that is a nice segue into some nice experiences that you had this year. You had one pretty incredible one that comes to my mind right now. And so talk a little bit about that, and then after that, talk about your family being down there.
And this will happen every season. Something different or unique happens, or I'm able to experience it a different way. When I first started doing this job, I was just amazed by being in the water with whales, and then that started to change to, like, I was just excited for other people to be in the water with whales, and facilitating them being in the water was really satisfying. And now it's kind of a combination of two, and more things are coming. But this season, something pretty amazing happened, and obviously I didn't have a camera. The 2 other people I was with didn't have cameras either. So it's really, there's nothing to show to demonstrate what this was like. And I will do my best to explain it, but even that's not going to really do it justice. But when we're out there, we're out in the middle of the ocean, we're 90 miles offshore, and we're on a mothership that is moored up to a dead coral head that's about 60 feet underwater.
You're in a reef.
Yeah, we're in a protected reef. We're in about 100 feet of water. So there's a coral head that is 60 feet underwater, meaning it goes from the seafloor up to 60 feet. And we are tied, there's a cable that goes through that, and it's dead coral, so we're not damaging. It's actually very ecologically friendly to do this, as opposed to dropping an anchor or something like that. But we have to go check the mooring from time to time, make sure that the line is not fraying, make sure the rope isn't about to snap, things like that. Especially, you know, you don't want that happening in the middle of the night if a squall comes through. So me, a crew member, and a guest who has been on, I mean, she's been going to the Silverbank since like 1991. So she's been there for a long time, and she comes on every year, and she's one of my favorite people.
Mine too.
Ever. She's just amazing. And her connection with the whales is incredible. All of my best experiences with whales tend to have her around.
And she was there when I got to go.
Yeah,
so,
when you were there last season, you met her. Anyway, she's a very competent diver. So she was just going to follow me and this crewmate down just to do a dive. It was at the end of the day. We had about an hour and a half of sunlight left. And we dive down, get to the mooring area, and I'm looking at the line, and I'm very focused on it. And we had to untangle, actually, some of the line. So the captain was on deck, and he had the engines in gear to give us some slack. So anyways, I'm very focused on doing that. And I turned to look to see where my crewmate was, and he was, you know, maybe 5 or 6 feet away from me, and he did this signal, like, look behind you. And I did, and 15 feet away from me was an adult humpback whale. It wasn't like swimming by me, it was just kind of there, like just kind of stationary.
So crazy. Was its eye right there?
I honestly like gasped, like kind of did a little scream underwater. Not because I was scared, because I just wasn't anticipating. Even though we're in this area where there's a bunch of whales, that's never happened in the 8 years that I've been there. That's never happened. So I stop what I'm doing and I look at it, and then I notice there's two more behind it, and they're swimming around us, and they're doing this behavior that we call dancing. And to imagine it is just imagine like a ballerina.
All this.
And they do this very purposeful movement underwater, and because they have such large pectoral fins, like the way they can move is really gentle and beautiful.
That's why they're called dancers of the sea.
Yes, the acrobats of the sea.
Acrobats of the sea. Oh.
Yeah. And they would move away from us a little bit, and then they would come really, really close. And we're on scuba, so we're blowing bubbles, and they were kind of interacting with the bubbles as well, and they would go to the surface and do little spy hop behaviors and come back down. This was over an hour, to the point where the captain on board, well, once he saw the whales from the top side, he knew what we were doing. But I totally stopped even trying to untangle the lines and just decided to interact with the whales instead. And so we were with there was 3 of us and 3 whales, 1 female and 2 adult males, and they danced around us for an hour. And at first we were like at 80 feet, and they were at 80 feet. And then, as time goes on, we have to go a little bit higher, so we're at 60 feet. As the hour went and we got shallower and shallower, they followed us until we were finally on the surface going back to the boat, and then they were on the surface around us as well. It was amazing and incredible, and it was a shared experience. They were there on purpose and we were there on purpose, and that interaction was something, again, that's not on video or camera. Somebody out there, I think the captain had a drone that he finally got out.
Yes. Oh, there's footage of that.
Is that on YouTube?
Is it on? I think so.
Well, if you've seen it,
then it female. It was the same female, but it was the next day.
The next day, that female came back,
that
and
footage is incredible.
Which was great, because then all the guests who were on the top side, being all jealous because we were in the water, the next day got to get in the water and snorkel with that same whale, because she came back to the boat.
If that footage is on YouTube, I'll put a link to that female. There's drone footage of her. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, so
yes,
you can kind of.
Simone has it.
Yeah.
Simone has it. I'll link to her video.
So by looking at that, you can get an idea of what she was doing on the surface is what she was doing 60 feet underwater around us, like within 10 or 15 feet of us. I mean, again, their pectoral fins are 15 feet away. They would come up and pull their pectoral fin in because they were that close.
So they're aware of you and don't want to hit you with
exactly.
it. That is amazing.
And they would come up and they would she would come up and turn upside down and show her belly to me. Mm-hmm. And then I would show my belly to her, and then we would both invert, so my head was down and my feet were up, and her head was down and her feet were up, and
oh my gosh,
it was nuts. It was crazy. So that's one. And then the other one, the very last week of the season, my mother, 2 sisters, and one of my sisters, her fiance, came out, and we had great weather. We had great encounters. They got in the water every day, both in water activity and topside activity, meaning like breaches and fin slapping and things like that. They got to experience that whole thing, and that was awesome too. It was like having you on 2 seasons ago. It's nice to share that, to finally share that with other people, because you can talk about it. Like right now I'm talking about it, and you are watching this can think about it, and you can look at videos and you can look at photographs and go, oh, okay, yeah, that looks really cool. But until you're in the water with a 50-ton animal that's just very calm and gentle and looking at you and interacting with you, that it's impossible to explain. So I'm glad that you have gotten to do that, and now my mother and 2 sisters have gotten to do that as well.
I wish I could have been there to see their reactions. We just saw one of your sisters and your mom a couple days ago, and they still hadn't. They've been back a week, and they still were like, I'm not even. I haven't processed all this yet. So
it's really hard.
It takes a while.
Even when we're out there, like we'll come out of the water after an encounter, and I'll be like, you guys, I know it's a lot to take in, but try to just keep in mind what you just did, because your adrenaline is up and you're just like, all right, that was fun, let's do it again, let's do it again, and you spend all day getting in the water and doing it, and it's not until hours later when you're sitting on the sun deck with a beverage watching the sunset and you start to process like, oh my gosh, what
did I just do?
I know, it's crazy. It's craziness. It's a very rare thing to be able to do, and the fact that the people that are closest to me have all gotten a chance to do that is it's very gratifying.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So glad you're back.
Oh, me too.
Especially now that I can have my trees cut down.
Now I can get caught up on all the work that I've missed in the last 3 months.
We're getting a lot done at the cabin. It's starting to look really cool. So I will
It's going to be a productive spring and summer.
Yes, I'll be posting more videos soon, and just stay in touch. Thanks for all of you for subscribing. I hope this video was interesting. And again, please refer to the video that I made a few months ago called My Husband's Amazing Job to find out more in detail what he does if you're interested in going on any of these adventures with aquatic adventures and getting into the water with humpback whales. You can find all that information on that video, and then I'll put the links again below this video as well.
Right.
And then I will really emphasize the link. I believe Simone Lipscomb is her, I think she has the video up, and I'll put a link to her video of that very amorous, beautiful humpback whale.
Make sure you check that out. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's a longer video, so she has kind of scenes and things of I think most of the trip, but I'll put the time signature for when that whale shows up, and it's so cool, and it's so clear. Anyway.
Yeah, it was good footage.
It's amazing.
And then I have a Instagram that I'm just setting up.
Yes.
It's under, I just set it up today. It's Brother Brown Says, S-E-Z, and I'm gonna post most of my photographs. I took a bunch of photographs this year.
They're beautiful, really, really great.
So if you want to see kind of what I'm talking about, you can check that out as well.
I'll put a link to your Instagram.
Bam!
Thanks everybody, I appreciate you watching this video and choosing happiness one project at a time. Bye!
Bye-bye!